Good evening, America. This is Real Talk Radio, a show for the people, from the people. I'm your host, Stitch. Tonight we're going to be talking about religion. Before we get started on that, I want to touch a little bit on last week. Last week we discussed the difference between liberals and conservatives. And for those of you who listened, if any of you were keeping score, I'd love to hear what your scores were. I don't care if they were liberal or conservative, but I'd love to know how many of us are right there in the middle. There's a lot of those issues that we talked about last week are very important, especially coming up to the election. Tonight, religion is the one we're going to pick on. It's going to be a hot button topic for a lot of reasons. It has nothing to do with whether you're a Catholic, a Protestant, Baptist, whatever, Muslim. What I want to talk about is, well, some of the similarities and the differences between the religions and where do we think that fits into our society. So I hope some of you will join me in the chat room tonight. And if not, please call in. I'd love to hear from you. That's what this show is all about, is finding out what your point of view is. I'm going to tell you my point of view. As usual, I've done a little bit of research on the Muslim religion, just so that I know what I'm talking about. But we're going to start off with the basics, the Christian religion. That's what I believe in. There's a lot of people out there that don't believe in God, but the majority of the entire world believes in a God of some sort. Whether you're Catholic, Protestant, Buddhist, Muslim, you have a basic belief system of some sort that there's a higher being out there that has a plan for us. And I think that is important to society. I think if we didn't have that belief system, we wouldn't have any laws. We wouldn't have any. We wouldn't have anything to keep us grounded. You know, what would we have to look forward to? What I want to know is, where do we think that this fits in with our society and our government? Where does this belong? Should we talk about this in schools anymore? Should we teach things about religion? What do you guys think? I think that religion, we should either talk about them all, or we shouldn't talk about any of them at all. If we're going to teach religion in schools, we got to teach all the religions and give the kids a choice. And that includes, unfortunately, even atheism. You hear a lot of George Carlin on my show. I love Carlin. He's a musician with the word. I don't agree with everything he says, but I agree with his right to say it, of course, and I agree with the fact that he questions everything. He looks at the hypocrisy that's involved in a lot of this stuff. And there is a lot of hypocrisy in religion. Now, I myself used to be a Lutheran. I grew up a Lutheran, and I don't consider myself a Lutheran anymore. George Carlin grew up a Catholic, Irish Catholic, and now he died an atheist. I'm not an atheist, but I take my spirituality straight from the Bible. I don't go to any church anymore because I don't necessarily believe in the message that they're preaching. So myself, I take it straight from the book. Do I think we should teach the Bible in school? Yeah, I think we should teach children that there is a Bible, that there is a Quran, that there is a Book of Mormons, that there is a book of Catholicism, which is one I take a lot of issue with. We'll get to that in a minute. But I think we should teach kids that it's out there. I don't think that we should hide it from them. Religion has survived hundreds of thousands of years for a reason. You know, it's a good theory, if nothing else. If you look, here's one of the things I want to talk about. One of the basic principles of all religions is that we should treat each other a certain way. Now, people in all religions have twisted this and found reasons to cause wars over it and kill people over it. But these are nutcases. These are extremists, just no different than the political extremists we were talking about last week. But these people just, they don't get it. I don't know where they're finding these pieces in the Bible that are teaching them to kill people, because the sane people that you talk to, we all know that there were Christian crusades and Catholic crusades and a lot of killing done in the name of Christianity in the early centuries, and that's no different than the killing that's going on in the name of Islam right now. You know, the only question is, where are they getting their information from? What part of the Quran are they reading that is telling them that they need to kill everybody that doesn't believe what they believe? And that's something that America's been built on, is the freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom, for people to be different. And we're supposed to tolerate that, and that includes the Muslims. I know there's a lot of hate out there for Muslims right now, but real true Muslims, they don't believe in the bull crap that's going on over there in the Middle East right now any more than we do. There are a lot of peaceful Muslims out there. That's why ISIS is killing them first. If you notice that, I find that ironic. We'll talk about that a little later too. But the bottom line is, we have a lot more similarities between our religions than we do differences. We choose to pick out the differences, and we argue and fight over the differences. But the bottom line is, they all give us an outline on how to live a more peaceful life. And if we choose to follow that outline, it doesn't mean we're going to be perfect people. Nobody on this planet is going to be perfect. If you believe in Jesus like I do, then you know that he was the only one that ever had a perfect walk on this planet, and nobody else will ever do it. We're all going to commit sins. The big thing is, try not to. Once you know what you're doing is a sin, you should try and stop doing it. That's what Christianity teaches. And try to live your life without hurting other people. Do what you need to do for your family and for God. And the rest of the time, you're just trying to get by. You're just trying not to hurt other people. That's a real simple concept that we can't seem to live by. Even our politics, Christian conservatives, is something I take a deep issue with, because there doesn't seem to be anything Christian about the conservatives I see on television. And there's certainly nothing Christian. The conservatives are for the war, which I am too. But is war Christian? Is that a Christian side of conservatism? I don't think so. I don't think those two go hand in hand. And one of the reasons I don't think Christian conservatism should be brought up in politics. I believe that they should leave their Bible at home and bring their law books with them and start doing the job of running the country, and let the preachers and the pastors and the rabbis teach us about God. That's not their job. And if you believe any one of them is a good Christian, you're fooling yourself. They wouldn't be that far up into politics if they were good Christians. If you watched the last Republican primary, all of those good conservative Christians dropped out mainly because they had affairs. And nothing good Christian about that. And I'm not condemning them for it. Everybody commits sins, and no sin is greater than the other. But don't get up and flout what a good Christian you are on national television when you know that you're a douchebag when you get home. I think Religion and politics have no business being in the same bed together. And in the same token, I don't think religious organizations should be allowed to donate money to politics. I don't think they should be allowed to lobby. I don't think they should have anything to do with the government. These are supposed to be two totally separate entities. And one has absolutely nothing to do with the other. Now, as far as getting rid of all of our religious symbols, we've had a lot of Christian symbols in our country since it was founded. And I don't think that should change. That's not just a matter of being a Christian. That's a matter of our country's history. And if you look what's going on, excuse me, over there in the Middle East with ISIS, as they destroy each town and each ethnic group, they're also destroying all of their temples, their museums, and everything that they ever held dear. They are totally crushing these people. They're leaving no trace behind. No history will be seen of some of these people that they have run over. And I don't see where the fact that the balance in religion has changed a little bit here in the country shouldn't have anything to do with that. We were based on Christianity, and our history is founded in Christianity. Christianity is in our money. It's all over our government stamps, and they should stay there. Whether you continue to look at them as a Christian symbol or a government symbol is up to you. I don't care. But I don't think that somebody, some new guy, should be able to come in here and tell us to take that crap off of our money or off our buildings. It's our stuff. Leave it alone. If you want to put your stuff up, go ahead. You want to make some money and put your symbol on it, go ahead. See how it works out. You know, you're allowed to put your symbols up there. There's been a lot of people over the years. The manger at Christmas time is a real big deal. Whether we should have a manger in front of the courthouse, and the way they've solved that is they've allowed other people to put their mangers or whatever statues they want, which has come up with some pretty crazy stuff, especially here in Florida. I know we have tributes to atheism and everything else on the public lawns, and you know what? That's fine. That's freedom of speech, and I think it should continue to be that way. We're going to take a quick break right now. We'll be right back with more Real Talk Radio. Until then, we're going to pay a few bills. When I come back, I hope you'll join me in the chat room and tell me how you feel about what we're talking about.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement, and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method, and to get your free report, go to 28security.com. That's the number 28security.com. 28security.com. Go to 28security.com.
If you're diabetic, this message could change your life. Is your blood sugar out of control even when you do all the right stuff? Are you afraid of diabetic blindness and the risk of amputation, as well as all those other side effects? Well, you should be. Is there anything that could help manage your blood sugar? Nobetes is a natural supplement that may quickly and dramatically lower your blood sugar.
My name is Bob Corder. I've been using Nobetes for about 3.5 to 4 months now. And in the first 3 months, I've actually lowered my blood sugars from 500s down to 139, and then it dropped to 88 to 93.
My name is Kirsten. I'm a type 1 diabetic, and while taking Nobides, my blood sugar levels dropped from 295 to 115 in just one day.
The FDA hasn't evaluated these statements, and Nobides isn't intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. But for many, it's helped drop their blood sugar. So if you've been evaluated with high blood sugar, don't delay. Evaluate Nobides now. Call 800-476-8044 and get 2 bottles free. Just cover shipping and handling. Call 800-476-8044. That's 800-476-8044.
Customs. Swearing on the Bible. You understand that shit? They tell you to raise your right hand, place your left hand on the Bible. Does this stuff really matter? Which hand? Does God really give a fuck about details like this? Suppose you put your right hand in the Bible, you raise your left hand. Would that count? Or would God say, sorry, wrong hand, try again? And why does one hand have to be raised? What is the magic in this gesture? This seems like some sort of a primitive voodoo mojo shtick. Why not put your left hand on the Bible, let your right hand hang down by your side? It's more natural. Or put it in your pocket. Remember what your mother used to say? Don't put your hands in your pockets. Does she know something we don't know? Is this hand shit really important? Well, let's get back to the Bible, America's favorite national theatrical prop. Suppose the Bible they hand you to swear on is upside down, or backward, or both, and you swear to tell the truth on an upside-down, backward Bible. Would that count? Suppose the Bible they hand you is an old Bible and half the pages are missing. Suppose all they have is a Chinese Bible in an American court, or a Braille Bible and you're not blind. Suppose they hand you an upside-down, backward Chinese Braille Bible with half the pages missing. At what point does all of this stuff just break down and become just a lot of stupid shit that somebody made up? They fucking made it up, folks. It's make-believe. It's make-believe. Now, all right. Okay. Let's leave the Bible aside. We'll get back to the science fiction reading later. The more important question is, what is the big deal about swearing to God in the first place? Why does swearing to God... Folks, here's something else I got a problem with. The 10 Commandments. Here's my problem. Why are there 10? You don't need 10. I think the list of commandments was deliberately and artificially inflated to get it up to 10. It's a padded list. Here's what they did. About 5,000 years ago, a bunch of religious and political hustlers got together to try to figure out how to control people, how to keep them in line. They knew people were basically stupid and would believe anything they were told, so they announced that God had given them some commandments. Up on a mountain, when no one was around, God had given them the 10 Commandments. But let me ask you this. When they were sitting around making this shit up, why did they pick 10? Why 10? Why not 9 or 11? I'll tell you why. Because 10 sounds official. 10 sounds important. They knew if it was 11, people wouldn't take it seriously. Say, what, are you kidding me? The 11 Commandments? Get the fuck out of here. But 10 sounds important. 10 is the basis for the decimal system. It's a decade. It's a psychologically satisfying number. The top 10, the 10 most wanted, the 10 best dressed. So having 10 commandments was really a marketing decision. And to me, it's clearly a bullshit list. It's a political document artificially inflated to sell better. I'm going to show you how you could reduce the number of commandments and come up with a list that's a little more workable and logical. We're going to start with the first 3, and I'll use the Roman Catholic version because those are the ones I was taught as a little boy. I am the Lord thy God. Thou shalt not have strange gods before me. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Thou shalt keep holy the Sabbath. Right off the bat, the first 3, pure bullshit. Sabbath day, Lord's name, strange gods. Spooky language. Spooky language. Designed to scare and control primitive people. In no way does superstitious nonsense like this apply to the lives of intelligent, civilized humans in the 21st century. You throw out the first 3 commandments, you're down to 7. Next, honor thy father and mother. Obedience, respect for authority. Just another name for controlling people. The truth is, obedience and respect should not be automatic. They should be earned. They should be based on the parent's performance. Parent's performance. All right? Some parents deserve respect. Most of them don't. Period. You're down to 6. Now, in the interest of logic, something religion is very uncomfortable with, we're going to jump around the list a little bit. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Stealing and lying. Well, actually, these two both prohibit the same kind of behavior. Dishonesty, stealing, and lying. So you don't need 2 of them. Instead, you combine them and you call it thou shalt not be dishonest. And suddenly, you're down to 5. And as long as we're combining, I have 2 others that belong together. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. Once again, these 2 prohibit the same kind of behavior. In this case, marital infidelity. The difference is coveting takes place in the mind, and I don't think you should outlaw fantasizing about someone else's wife. Otherwise, what's a guy going to think about when he's waxing his carrot? But marital fidelity is a good idea, so we're going to keep the idea and call this one, thou shalt not be unfaithful. And suddenly, we're down to 4. But when you think about it, honesty and fidelity are really part of the same overall value. So in truth, you could combine the 2 honesty commandments with the 2 fidelity commandments and give them simpler language, positive language instead of negative, and call the whole thing, thou shalt always be honest and faithful. And we're down to 3. Thou shalt, they're going away fast. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods. This one is just plain fucking stupid. Coveting your neighbor's goods is what keeps the economy going. Am I right? Your neighbor gets a vibrator that plays "Oh Come All Ye Faithful." You want to get one too. Coveting creates jobs. Leave it alone. You throw out coveting, you're down to 2 now. The big honesty and fidelity commandment, and the one we haven't talked about yet, thou shalt not kill. Murder. The 5th commandment. But when you think about it, religion has never really had a big problem with murder. Not really. More people have been killed in the name of God than for any other reason. All you have to do... All you have to do is look at Northern Ireland, the Middle East, Kashmir, the Inquisition, the Crusades, and the World Trade Center to see how seriously the religious folks take thou shalt not kill. The more devout they are, the more they see murder as being negotiable. It's negotiable. You know? It depends. It depends on who's doing the killing and who's getting killed. So, with all of this in mind, I leave you with my revised list of the 2 commandments. Thou shalt always be honest and faithful to the provider of thy nookie. And thou shalt try real hard not to kill anyone, unless, of course, they pray to a different invisible man from the one you pray to. 2 is all you need. Moses could have carried him down the hill in his fucking pocket. And if they had a list like that, I wouldn't mind those folks in Alabama putting it up on the courthouse wall. As long as they included one additional commandment, thou shalt keep thy religion to thyself. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And we're back. Well, that was a little bit lengthy, but I thought it was important to play today. Like I said, I don't agree with everything George says, but, you know, the end of that in particular I thought was very important to play. It really sums it up, what I was just talking about. All of the killing that gets done in the name of God is just ridiculous. I haven't found that part in the Bible. It's got to be somewhere hidden in the Old Testament that I haven't made it to yet, because I've read the New Testament over and over again. It's not in there. if you want to just rely on that eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth chapter, you better read the whole thing. Now, we've got a couple of guys in the chat room right now. Thanks, Jeff, Gary, for being in the chat room. They pretty much are agreeing with what I'm saying here. You know, everybody sins. So we're going to talk a little bit, since we heard what George had to say about the Christian religion, we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on with Islam. Now, this is something that I'm not an expert on, so as usual, I did my research, and it's really shocking to find out that the difference between the Sunnis and the Shiites and the Kurds and the other Muslim groups are pretty much like the difference between the Baptists and the Lutherans and the Episcopalians and other Protestant religions. There's really not a whole lot separating them, and it just stuns me that they're willing to kill and commit genocide and destroy their entire race of people over these slight differences. Now, Islam was founded by Muhammad in the 7th century in 622. He founded the first Islamic state in Medina. It's a city in western Saudi Arabia, north of Mecca. Now, there's two main branches of the religion he founded.
I don't mean to interrupt, Dennis.
Go right ahead.
I do apologize, but the caller that just called in, please call back. I do apologize for that.
Oh, well, let's go ahead and call him.
All right, let's give him a call back then.
We're going to have our first caller, folks.
Hello.
Hi, you're on the line with Stitch. Who am I talking to?
Stitch. This is Jeff Lebrowski. How you doing?
Hey, great, Jeff. How are you?
Good. I'm just listening to your radio show here, and I find that there's so many ways to go on it. Number one, politics and religion are together, no matter what way you look at it. You have the GLBT group out there. You have the Black Preachers Association. Everyone is broke up into minorities and what they believe in and their own little groups. So I'm not seeing where that falls into the part of the Bible. I guess in your religion.
Well, only one of the groups that you mentioned, the Baptist group, is a religious group. The LBG, whatever the initials are, that's not a religious group.
Gay, lesbian, bi, and transgender.
That's not a religion, though. That's a way of life. That's different. That's what you call a public interest group. Now, we'll never get public interest. We'll never get public interest out of politics. Basically, public interest should be in politics. You got to have public interest in politics. If the public has no, this is what the show's about. The public has no interest in politics, so we need to get different groups involved, and we can't let the religious groups run the show.
And that's what's happening.
Exactly, and that's what we need to stop. That's what I'm saying. That's my opinion on it, is that we need to get the religious groups out of it. We cannot, according to our own Constitution, there's a separation of church and state, and we should not be able to choose one religion over another. And if we allow religion into our government, eventually we're going to have to pick one over the other, and we can't do that. Do you agree with that?
Exactly, and we should not have that choice.
Right.
I don't think we should come to America and have to speak 27 different languages.
No, I agree with that, too. I believe that this is a different issue, but it's a good one to bring up.
Yeah.
If you're coming to America, and it kind of goes along with what I said about you shouldn't be able to come to America and tell us to take down our symbols. You shouldn't be able to have us take down our Christian symbols, our American flag, or any other damn thing that belongs to the history of the United States. What it is what it is. If you want to come in and bring your group in, that's fine with us. Put up your own damn symbols. But as far as that's concerned, on the speaking of English, we've gone way out of our way to make things accessible to immigrants as far as learning Spanish and that sort of thing because of the amount of Spanish immigrants we have. And we should not have to learn how to speak Spanish. They should have to learn to speak English. The only people that should have to learn how to speak Spanish are the teachers that are supposed to be teaching them English.
Well, and down here in Texas, everything, you have to have a second language. And they push, Spanish. So, but let's get back to your, I want to get back to your stuff on the politics, religion, and race, all this stuff. You have the Black Preachers Association. The Black Preachers Association will not endorse anybody that is gay, lesbian. You know what I mean? We have a gay mayor here in Houston that's done an outstanding job.
Well, that's kind of like a double special interest group, right? They've got the special interest of the religion, and they've also defined themselves socially as black, so that separates them once again. That makes them a minority, and this is a majority rules country, right?
See, and I'm not hip on this minority stuff. I know where I grew up, and I knew, it's like racism was taught to us. But now, in this day, you got to remember 1.6% of the rich folk back in the day had slaves. Now is what is happening to us is everything is putting a color on everything, which pisses me off.
Yeah, me too.
You have, let's just say, for one that pisses me off, is the Black Coalition of Union Workers. If I was to say I'm a white union worker, now I'm a racist.
Yes.
The color thing is out of control.
Absolutely.
Like religion. Now, I live in Houston. We have Joel Osteen, a preacher.
Like him.
And he lives in a $10.5 million mansion.
Nice.
I don't. I am just a working man raising 3 kids that will all be in college come this fall. I live in a 2,200 square foot home. I'm nothing fancy.
Living the American dream, my friend.
Exactly, but I'm not, and that's, here we go again. Gay people, do they push their gayness on you like religious people push their religion on you? No.
Well, to be honest with you, I haven't had either one pushed on me, thank goodness. But I would say that out of the two, you're right that the Christians are worse because they're pushing it more on you on television. Right now, the gay and lesbian group is making a hard push for their legal rights, and I don't blame them. I think I'm agreeing with you on this that that it's two different groups, and one needs to speak up, the gay and lesbian group, and they are a product, part of the people that should be running the world, right? They're just like you and I. They're just human beings, and we need to quit defining them by their sexuality, just as we need to quit defining each other by our color, and start just worrying about, are we American or are we not American? That should be all that matters in this country. Are you an American citizen? Then you're fine with me. That's all that matters.
And we're all from the same race, bro. The human race.
The human race, correct.
And love is love. I don't care whether it's with another man. It says in the Bible, yes, if a man lays with another man, he must be stoned and yada yada. But your topic tonight is on religion. It's on a book that somebody wrote. It was rammed down my throat as a child, growing up Catholic. I had to go to catechism. It's wow.
Wow,
it's hard to explain on how I feel about religion.
I didn't realize you grew up Catholic. No wonder you're angry.
Well, we all did. You know, St. Isaac Joe's. I rode bike to Saturday, to church on Saturday, so I didn't have to go to church on Sunday.
Right.
So.
Well. I grew up with Lutheran, so I didn't have to worry about the Book of Catholicism. But now that you mentioned Catholics, let's go there. I was going to get to it anyways. Didn't know it would be with you, but let's go. The Book of Catholicism, you can help me with this maybe, because I have not read this book, but it is a book of traditions, correct?
Correct.
And the Bible says that we should not teach traditions above the Word of God. So how did the two of those two fit together?
And what Bible is that out of? The First Testament or the Second? So I mean, there's a lot of crazy things about that.
I got to think. I'm going to guess it's the New Testament because that's what I believe in. That's what I read the most. I've read Genesis, Exodus, and Leviticus. Got a little tired. Read Kings, Psalms of Solomon, but the Old Testament is the history of Christianity, but it really doesn't apply to Christians anymore. The New Testament applies to Christians. The Old Testament is what the Jews are still living by. So for us, that's a history lesson, but what we really need to if we're going to be Christians, we need to live by what it says in the New Testament. And that's all about forgiveness, tolerance, love thy neighbor, love thy enemy, all that good crap. And nobody's going to do it 100%. It's impossible. We can't be perfect, but where I hear you coming from is that's what you're trying to do. You don't necessarily believe in the religion you grew up in, but you believe in the foundation of it and what it was really trying to teach you, and that's the important part, isn't it? How do you treat other people?
Well, yeah, but I'm thinking, where the hell, I'm living in Houston right now. Where was Noah with his ark yesterday? I could have used them. My family could have got on that boat 2x2.
Well, I'm surprised you didn't have one coming since Bush lives in the area. If you were in Louisiana, you'd be shit out of luck, but you would think they would have sent some help out there to you guys. But, you got enough Mexicans there. Dig a ditch.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. We got plenty of them here, and that's just the way it is. You got plenty of Cubans in Florida.
Absolutely. Well, we've got such a mix here in Florida that you don't know if it's a Cuban, a Mexican, a Puerto Rican, whatever. I like that actually about Florida. We got a great mix of people, and they get along and live in the same neighborhoods for the most part, and it's pretty cool.
Well, you can go ahead and look up Fort Bend, Texas, Fort Bend County, Texas, where I live. It's the most diverse county probably in the United States.
And isn't that where America is going, really, as a whole? Aren't we?
Diverse?
Yeah. You've got color. You've got all colors mixing with every other color. There's blacks and whites and Mexicans and whites and Mexicans and blacks and Orientals and everybody else, and There's no purebred anything anymore. Back in the day, way back when our ancestors immigrated, I know at least half of your ancestors were from Poland, right? Mine were from Scotland.
No, they were from Italy. From Italy.
Italy, yeah, right. The Italian Lambrowskis.
Yeah.
Right. Well, mine are from Scotland and France and Belgium, and when they all came to America, they didn't like each other, and they didn't consider themselves all to be the same. It wasn't until the black people came and decided we were all white that we became the same. Before that, it was there was racism versus in between the white sectors too. And Italians didn't marry out of their race, Jews didn't marry out of their race, and that's the way it was back then. But now you couldn't tell one white race from another, and it's getting harder to tell mixed races from another because they're all blending. And I think that's the way the globe is going to be eventually. This is the melting pot. This is where it all starts. And I think the sooner we get our heads wrapped around that fact, sooner we can quit talking about race.
Yep, that's what I think.
Yeah, I think race, I was going to do a whole show on that, but I'm glad you brought it up. It was good to bring up today. Race, it has a lot to do with the religion. A lot of our different races believed in different religions. The Celtics were the Lutheran squad there. Catholics are, of course, all over the globe. I'm trying to remember, was it Rome where they started? Gosh, I can't even think of where Catholicism began. All I know is when I read the Bible and I see what they say about the Pharisees in the Bible, I always think of Catholicism. I don't know why. Sorry about that, but it's just something I pick up on. But going to that part, the Bible says in the New Testament that nobody shall add to or take away from the Word of God. That means no other book and no other chapters. Now, here's a dispute that will go on forever. The Catholic and Protestant versions of the Bible each are missing chapters that the other one has.
You think?
Yes, I know it. Looked it up. And I should have wrote it down and brought it with me, which books they are, but they were. There are 7 more in the Catholic Bible that are missing from the Protestant Bible, and 5 or 6 in the Protestant Bible that are missing from the Catholic Bible because they couldn't agree on the translation. That right there tells you that we might not be getting the whole story,
Exactly.
But where I defend to the death my spirituality and my belief system in it is no matter what religion you're looking at, if you're looking at the basis of the religion and you get past the BS, they all teach you to treat each other better. They all treat you to treat yourself, number one, to treat yourself well, to treat your spouse well, to treat your children well, to treat your neighbors well. And I just find everything about it to be a positive way to live your life. And if I'm wrong and there's no God and I get buried and I don't go to heaven, I'll never know it. But those atheists out there who don't believe in God, when they get buried, if they're wrong, they're going to know it for eternity. My buddy George Carlin was one of those, and one of his shticks is he's looking up from hell smiling at us. And it's probably true.
You have 2 roads, okay? And there's songs out there that say there's a highway to heaven or a highway to hell, and a stairway to heaven.
Yep.
So you take it like you want it, but, I'm just saying.
And for those...
The religious belief has to be left to the individual.
Exactly.
You can't be pushed on nobody.
No.
Either you believe or you think there should be some kind of spiritual something in your life, that's up to you.
Right, and that's why I said earlier, I think if we're going to teach it in school, we need to teach all of them and give our kids a choice as to what they believe. It's basically like teaching the difference between religion and the Big Bang Theory and what's the other one? Evolution with the missing links. We got to give them all that information and let them decide.
Well, that's why, my kids had their communion and all that.
Right.
I wanted some kind of spiritual in their life and let them make the decision.
Exactly. Give them some balance, and when they're old enough, they'll make their own choice.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff, we're getting ready to go to another commercial. I hate to cut you off, but, I really thank you calling in. Yeah, you have a good time at that AFL-CIO meeting. Good luck to you.
I will.
Whatever you're voting on, I know you do the right thing.
Because I do have the Union Workers Bible.
That's right.
Adios, amigos.
You have a good night, Jeff. Thanks for calling.
Bye.
All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break here. Thank you to Jeff for calling in. That was a great talk. I really enjoyed that. Hopefully somebody else will call in, get on here, and give me some opinions. I see we got a few more people joining the chat room, so that's good. We'll get back to them as soon as we get back.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-518-1300. That's 1-800-518-1300. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-518-1300 for details.
Let me ask you a question. Are you getting enough? I bet you'd love more, right? Well, AdamandEve.com wants to give you more with 10 free gifts. First, you'll get a sexy surprise for her. Second, a specially selected toy for him. And third, a little something we know you'll both enjoy. Plus, you'll get 6 full-length adult movies on DVD. And number 10, free shipping on your entire order. So what do you have to do to get your 10 free gifts? It's not hard. Just go to AdamandEve.com and select any one item. It could be an adventurous new toy, sexy piece of lingerie, or anything you desire. Just enter offer code GIFT13 at checkout, and you'll get all 10 free gifts. Go check out AdamandEve.com today. Select one item and get 10 free gifts, including free shipping, when you enter offer code GIFT13. That's GIFT 13 at AdamandEve.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-441-3678 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-441-3678 to take your call now. Call 1-800-441-3678. That's 1-800-441-3678. Again, 1-800-441-3678.
And we are back, folks. Hey, that was a great conversation with Jeff, wasn't it? He's got a lot of good information. He'll probably be calling in from time to time. As you heard, he's involved in the union. He's actually a union president with the Plumbers Union out there in Texas. I once joked with him that, he's got to be making enough money to be a Republican by now, but he's an avid Democrat. In fact, I'm anxious to hear what he thought about last week's show and if he was conservative on any of those issues. I'm still waiting to hear from all of you folks. I'd really love to know just the numbers. How close are we to the middle here? We had Michelle checked in while we were on our last segment, and she said, to make sure that while we're here on this land, to be good to one another at least. And isn't that the biggest commonality of all religions? Isn't that what we're trying to achieve here? If we would read the right parts of the Bible, we wouldn't have terrorism and all of this bull crap going on. And we wouldn't have so much division even in our own country, because one of the things that I despise most is greed. And that's one of the 7 deadly sins. And I'll be damned if that isn't all over our government. Before we close out here, I wanted to make some use out of this research I did and talk about the Muslims a little bit here. We're starting to get into that when Jeff called. I mentioned that the religion was founded by Muhammad in the 7th century in Saudi Arabia, north of Mecca. There's 2 branches of the religion he founded, and those have branched off into a lot of splinter groups. But the 2 main branches, is the Sunni branch, which believes that the first 4 caliphs, which are their high priests, maybe I should have read these definitions first. A caliph is the high priest, basically like Moses was, the big shots. And what they call their, our Vatican, they call their caliphate. Wherever they set up their shrine, that's their caliphate. So this is what they're trying to build right now, the Shiites. Shiites. ISIS is trying to build a caliphate. They have chosen a caliph, which is a head guy, and they're trying to build a caliphate. Now, the Sunni branch believes that the first 4 caliphs, the first 4 high priests, which were Muhammad's successors, rightfully took his place as leader of the Muslims. They recognized the heirs of those 4 as legitimate religious leaders. These heirs ruled continuously in the Arab world until the breakup of the Ottoman Empire following the end of the First World War. So that means that basically the Sunnis believe all priests come from these 4 caliphs, these 4 people. Now, that's not real far from Christianity, because those of you who have read the Old Testament, a little bit I've read, I do know this. Moses was told, because he had a speech impediment, to make his brother Aaron the first priest, and that all of Aaron's sons and his sons after him and their sons after them would be the priests. Which is my first problem with the Catholic Church, because that means they got to get married, they got to have kids, the sons are priests. That's pretty plain and simple. That's our belief. Now theirs, they believe that all of their priests come from these 4 heirs. Now the Shiites, in contrast, believe that only the heirs of the 4th caliph, Ali, are the legitimate successors of Muhammad. And in 931, the 12th Imam disappeared. This was a seminal event in the history of the Shiite Muslims. So according to the Shiites, when this 12th Imam disappeared, there was no more caliph. There was no more leader. Okay? So they suffered a loss of their divinely guided political leadership until the ascendancy of the Ayatollah Khomeini in 1978. He is the first person that they believe is a true caliph and a true descendant of Muhammad, apparently. Now, another difference between the Sunnis and the Shiites has to do with a thing called the Mahdi, the rightly guided one, whose role is to bring a just global caliphate into being. That means a worldwide Muslim shrine. And historian Timothy Furnish wrote that the major difference is that the Shiites say that he's already been here, that this rightly guided one is already on earth. And he'll return when he's done hiding. And the Sunnis believe that he has yet to emerge, like Jesus will come back someday and, reclaim the earth. So those are the 2 main things that they disagree on, and that's what they're killing each other over. Now, I find that incredibly stupid and ironic that something that small could cause all of this war. it's no different than what we did. Not we, our Christian ancestors. It's no different than the things that they did. See some more facts here that we have. Sunni Muslims, approximately 90% of the Muslim world. The loss of the caliphate after World War I was devastating. In light of the historic presence of the Caliph, the guardian of Islamic law and the Islamic State. Sunni fundamentalist leaders thereafter emerged in nations such as Egypt and India, where contact with Western political structures provided them with a model awkwardly to imitate, as they have struggled after 1924 to provide a viable alternative to the Caliphate. So there's another ideological difference. I guess the Sunnis have become too westernized for the Shiites. They've taken on some of our ideas, and that's a difference between them. Osama bin Laden was a Sunni, and to him, the end of the reign of the caliphs in the 1920s was catastrophic, as he made clear in a videotape made after 9/11. On the tape, he proclaimed, "What America is tasting now is only a copy of what we have tasted. Our Islamic nation has been tasting the same for more than 8 years of humiliation and disgrace. Its sons killed and their blood spilled. Its sanctities desecrated." So that, not George Bush, is what pissed off Osama bin Laden. George Bush wasn't in office in time to start this thing. So those I've seen on Facebook were blaming George Bush for the war in Afghanistan and for the terrorist attacks and all that stuff. That's a bunch of bull crap. This has been building up for a long time. I don't see. Well, I guess maybe back in the world wars, maybe we did bomb some things over there and cause some problems. That's been a long time ago, and just as I don't think we should still be held accountable for racism, I don't think we can be held accountable for things that happened in World War I. Those people are all dead and gone. If this is what the violence is over, if that's what the violence is over towards Christians, then, explain the violence between the Sunni and Shiite groups. What I find very interesting in this war, and we're going to do a piece on ISIS another day, is that they have chosen to kill off other Muslims before they kill off the Christians and the Jews, because they feel that the Muslims have betrayed them, and they are worse than us as far as being infidels. Now, according to this research that I did, what caused the original divide? The groups first diverged after the Prophet Muhammad died in 632, and his followers could not agree on whether to choose a bloodline successor or leaders most likely to follow the tenets of the faith. The group known as the Sunnis chose Abu Bakr. It's probably not the right pronunciation, but they need some vowels. The Prophet's advisor to become the first successor, or caliph. So they chose to pick someone outside the bloodline. And the Shiites favored Ali, Muhammad's cousin and son-in-law, a blood successor. So that's what started the problem. And then after the 11th Imam died in 874, and his young son was said to have disappeared from the funeral because he feared for his life, Shiites in particular came to see the child as a messiah who had been hidden from the public by God. And large sects of Shiites known as Twelvers have been preparing for his return ever since. How did the violence start? 656, Ali's supporter killed the third caliph. Soon after, the Sunnis killed Ali's son Hussein. Fighting continued. Sunnis emerged victorious. and the Shiites came to revere the caliphate for its strength and its piety. Shiites focus on developing their religious beliefs through their imams. So, that's what started the divide way back in 632, and they're still fighting about it now. It's a war that's never going to end, folks. So, we have to decide what we want to do about it. Do we want to get involved? Or are we just going to sit back and let them kill everybody they get their hands on? I personally believe we got to jump all over these guys and cut the snake's head off. You know, I'm not saying Muslims. I'm talking about ISIS. Now, we're about at the end of the show, so I'm going to let you go with a few thoughts for next week. Maybe next week, let's jump right into this bit on ISIS and talk about the war, where you think we should be in the war. We're starting to get people in the chat room. It's just about time to close out. Sorry you guys didn't make it, but get back in next week. Please call in. Love the conversation with Jeff. Want to hear more from you people. Let me know how you feel. Next week, we're going to talk about the war. So until then, this is Stitch, Real Talk Radio, for the people, from the people. Good night.
There will never be a point in your life where it's the right time to do a great thing. If you're waiting for that perfect moment, that perfect timing, it's not going to happen. You know what you have to do? You have to create the perfect time and the perfect opportunity and the perfect situation.
So that a lot of people become comfortable. They stop growing. They stop wanting anything. They become satisfied. People getting ready to go to jobs that they don't like. Jobs that are making them sick. You see, when you're not pursuing your goal, you are literally committing spiritual suicide. When you have some goal out here that you're stretching for and reaching for that takes you out of your comfort zone, you'll find out some talents and abilities you have that you didn't know you have. When the messenger of misery visits you, what are you going to do? What will keep you in the game?
There are things that you think you'll never need to know, that you may only need to know one time in your life, but that could save your life because you had that knowledge.
Unless you attempt to do something beyond that which you've already mastered, you will never grow. What is it that you looked at some point in time and you decided that you couldn't do it, that you talked yourself out of it?
You're waiting on your next door neighbor to make it happen for you. It may not happen. If you're waiting on your mother or your father, they may be so ancient in their thinking that they don't understand this opportunity that you have. And if you're waiting on them, it may never get done. You don't beg average people to be phenomenal. You don't beg good people to be phenomenal. You just are phenomenal, and you will attract phenomenal.
What reason can you remember that you can call on, that you can reach on, that can make you get back up? Find that reason.
If you're not where you are, if you're not where you want to be, if you don't have what you want to have, if you're not where you think you should be at this particular place, it has nothing to do with the system, but it has everything to do with the fact that you're not making the sacrifice. I want you to make that dream become a reality, because if you don't, you will be working for somebody else to make their dreams become a reality.
Everybody is against you or don't believe in you no more. And let me tell you something, that's a lonely feeling. It's a lonely feeling, particularly people that you're doing it for. Most people take their greatness, take their ideas to the graveyard with them.
Listen to me, if it was easy, everybody would do it. There are people right now who are working who don't want to work. There are people who hate their jobs, but they keep getting up to do it.
The wealthiest place on the planet is the graveyard. Because in the graveyard, we will find inventions that we never, ever were exposed to. Ideas, dreams that never became reality. Hopes and aspirations that were never acted upon.
The question is, what are you going to do with your time? What drives you? And greatness is a lot of small things done well. day after day, workout after workout, obedience after obedience, day after day.
When things don't work out for you, when things happen that you could not anticipate, what are the reasons that you can think of that can keep you strong?
You will never, ever be successful until you turn your pain into greatness, until you allow your pain to push you from where you are to push you to where you need to be. Stop running from your pain and embrace your pain. Your pain is going to be a part of your prize, a part of your product. I challenge you to push yourself.
See, it's easy to be on the bottom. It doesn't take any effort to be a loser. It doesn't take any motivation, any drive in order to stay down there on a low level. But it calls on everything in you. You have to harness your will to say, I'm going to challenge myself.
I mean that what you did last week don't count. Today is the only important day. There are 86,400 seconds in a day, and how you use those are critical. You got 86,400 today, and what you do today is going to cement who you are. Nobody's going to talk about what you did last week.
That the biggest enemy you have to deal with is yourself. There's an old African proverb that says, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm.